In this video, I'm going to show you the method of how we brought Castmagic to life, how much it cost us to start the business, what did we do right, what did we do wrong, and all of the learnings along the journey. So hopefully you can also build a 7-figure SaaS startup. So let's get right into it. So this is the Castmagic story. The short answer to how we came up with the business is that we were customers number one of the product. My co-founder Blaine and myself had a podcast called DTC Pod, which we still run. It's all about all things commerce, creators, and consumers. And we have over 300 live episodes, each over an hour long. So we knew these were content gold mines. There was so much value packed into each one of the episodes, but it was really hard to extract the value that sat in each one of the episodes. So we hired an agency to extract all of these insights. An agency would literally listen to every single episode to make LinkedIn posts, tweets, turn it into a newsletter, and create a bunch of marketing collateral from each podcast recording. But over the course of months doing this, it became unsustainable. The podcast isn't like a massively growing business. And so paying the agency was literally all of the money that the podcast was making. So it was really hard to sustain an agency to just listen to an episode and create content out of it. So around this time, ChatGPT was taking off. It was a pure boom of the market. And I showed to Blaine how you can literally just make tweets. Naturally, we just started playing with it. We would spend the whole day trying to make tweets, trying to make LinkedIn posts, using ChatGPT, giving it context until we actually ended up with some pretty decent results. So in November of 2023, the first engineer would begin making the first iteration of what would become Castmagic. Blaine went on Fiverr. He found a developer who made sort of like a workable product, but not really. There was no UI. It wasn't anything close to anything anyone could use, but it was good enough for a back end to spit out some outputs in a packaged way so we could solve our own workflow problem. Again, we're customers number one. So we built a solution to solve our problem for ourselves. We didn't need a neat dashboard to display all of this content. So in December of 2023, I actually went on a snowboarding trip with my good friend Justin, and it was just a regular day. We were at the mountain, we were on the lift, and Justin said, "What is up in your world?" And at the time, I was dealing with this problem of the agency costing too much money and this content workflow problem. So I told him about this frustrating experience I was having. He got really curious by it. We didn't think much of it. We went back down from the mountain and actually started playing with some ChatGPT prompts and see if we could make some output. After that, it was just a regular trip with my friends, nothing much about business and just catching up on life. After I got home, I get a text from Justin that says, "Hey man, curious on that podcast problem you're having. Can I hack a solution together and see if I can solve this for you?" So I said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." In 2 weeks, Justin put together an MVP of what became Castmagic. It was wild. It worked so well. It was so fast. It was so accurate. So clearly Justin had incredible chops to become the main developer of this project. So that was in December of 2023. And on December 31st, we all got together to discuss building a business around this. And if there was interest, we all said yes. We didn't overcomplicate the structure or any of that. We just got to building. January 1st, we developed the first line of code for Castmagic. My previous company, Trend, had just been acquired in October. So I just introduced Blaine and Justin. They launched it, and pretty instantly, it took off. It took off with podcasters. I started seeing the charts of the daily active users and the subscribers growing, and it was pretty wild. It was unlike any product that I've experienced before, especially because there was no dollars of marketing going behind this. So clearly we were solving a hair on fire problem. So that's when I said, there's definitely something here. I quit my company at that time and went all in on Castmagic. And I went all in not just because of the numbers, but I started seeing who was using it. And it was not just podcasters, it was authors, coaches, speakers, consultants, marketers, agencies, and just like people across the spectrum. So it turns out content isn't just podcasts. Audio is used across many different forms of marketing marketing, that's just a sign that if you ever see your product being forced into usage by other personas that are not the ones you're targeting and you're not even marketing with the messaging to those people, pay close attention to that. That means that the product needs to expand into other markets. So what did the team of Castmagic look like? Initially, it was just me, Blaine, and Justin. Then eventually we went up to 5 full-time people, adding a developer and a community manager. So really the entire company grew to $1 million in ARR in under 9 months with just 5 people full-time and contractors assisting us deploy the strategies that we were implementing. So we built it pretty organically based on the problem that we were solving for ourselves and a problem we were really excited about. Justin, after our initial conversation in the mountains, he just did it. Literally texted back and forth names, came up with Castmagic really fast, and then he sent a picture of a magic wand that he just generated in AI, and that was the logo. The company was now forming and becoming real, and we bought the domain. So we were off to the races at that point. But a key lesson here is to always lead with value. We didn't get caught up in what would the structure look like or anything like that. Justin led with value, and for us it was a hell yeah. And we all led with value from day one. We also didn't spend time trying to create a market analysis and assess what was the TAM and how many users could we potentially get and what would the road look like to $1 billion. What we knew, if there is a problem for one, there is a problem for two. So if we were having this problem, we knew that all podcasters were also going to be having this problem, and we were absolutely right. Then later on, we tapped into something much bigger that turns out this is a hair on fire problem for not just podcasters, but anyone who wants to make content out of their media. So how much does it cost to build a business like Castmagic? Don't get me wrong, even I am surprised here. It actually costs us probably under $1,000 all in, including OpenAI costs. All we had to buy was a domain, hosting, and server costs. Super minimal expenses. Even the domain was super cheap, and even the logo was done for free. The name, we came up with it ourselves, so we didn't pay a branding agency a bunch of money to sort of figure this out. We just went off for the races. And even then, after those expenses, our expenses on the AI was just a percentage of the revenue. So one key important note here is we never invested out-of-pocket money into the business outside of that $1,000 to get started. And the crazy irony here is that for my previous business trend, which was really difficult, it was a very capital intensive business. I was chasing investors for the longest time ever because I needed the money in order to grow the marketplace. But here, where the business is self-sustained and funded by the customers, we don't need the money. In this case, we have top tier 1 and some of the best investors knocking on our door constantly. And every week we get an email or approached by an investor trying to invest into the business. Which is funny because we don't need the money. Look, taking money when you don't need it is very smart and probably when you should take the money. But in our case, we turned it down and said no. So why did we say no? Because we wanted full control of the future of the business and the product without having anyone else be making decisions on our behalf. Without investment, we were doing just fine. If we ever wanted to decide to sell the business or invest money into it, take profits off the table, go hard and reinvest some of those profits or do whatever we want, we really can just do it. There's no board outside of the co-founders. So we really value that freedom on the future of the business over having constraints in terms of having another board member or taking on unnecessary capital that would make us reinvest into areas that might not have been a necessity to do. So now it's actually even easier than ever to start a product. You can start a product within days or weeks and get it launched to market and to revenue, especially with the advancements of AI. We're at a unique point in time in entrepreneurship where this is now actually a reality. All you need to do to know is your break-even point. How long is it gonna take you to get the company to profitability? And that's how much time it's gonna take you to get to ROI positive from the investment of launching this business, whether that's time, capital, or whatever resources you're sacrificing an opportunity cost to launch a business. So what are the road bumps along the way? For every single business, you're gonna experience road bumps and hassles and things you're not gonna wanna deal with, but you have to because these are natural in business. It's all about how you deal with them as they occur. So here's some key things that I learned from Castmagic that will help you along the way. Number one is prioritization. At Castmagic, I'm a team of 1 for marketing, so I can only do so much with my hands. I test a lot of marketing strategies and a lot of them will show good signs of early life and that they work, but in reality, there's only so many I can do. So I have to say no to a bunch of potential opportunities that I know I might be messing up by saying no to them, but I'm also realistic into what I can give my full attention and focus to. Or if I want to spread it out amongst 3 strategies, leave 2 behind, and then revisit those later, I have to constantly prioritize where are we going to put our marketing budget, time, and resources into. Productivity comes from prioritization. If you're unsure if you should prioritize a task, just ask yourself these questions. Is this meaningful? The tasks that have purpose are always a task of priority. If you want a video on bootstrapping a successful business, let me know in the comments and I'll go ahead and make it. Number 2, having uncomfortable conversations. In my previous business, I was still running that company after it had gotten acquired while we had started out Castmagic. And so eventually we had to have a really uncomfortable conversation, which was I going to step in or step out, because we were going all in on Castmagic at that time. So these are moments that will happen in your business where you might disagree on something really strongly, or where you have to pull that person and tell them, hey, I believe that you said this or that and I don't agree with that, and have uncomfortable conversations. So initially we sat down and talked about it for hours, and some of these conversations can take up to hours. So they will be uncomfortable, but it is the shaping of these rocks that will create the future of your business. So these uncomfortable conversations are an absolute must. And initially they're really awkward and feel really uncomfortable, but trust me, as you do it more and more and more, since it's a must, you're gonna feel more comfortable having these uncomfortable conversations. Number 3, rebranding. Rebranding can be an absolute nightmare and disaster, and God, is it painful. I went through a redesign process with Castmagic, and you would not believe it. After 3 months of the person designing, they went away into their own oasis, making all of the assets. And when they show up and present us this grand presentation, I wanted to, to just close my computer and not look at it. That's how bad it was. This was definitely a really painful process, because we trusted this person to make this beautiful design, and the designs were so bad, we didn't even want it. So we were faced with 2 options. We either accept the design and implement it, or we walk away entirely. Walking away entirely means we're gonna lose some money because we should compensate this person. Also, starting over with finding a new designer to then re-go through the entire design discovery process and interviews to then wait to have it developed. So that would be another 3 to 4 months without a rebrand. So in total, our rebrand actually took about 5 months instead of just 2 months. And so that was a really painful process that we went through. We learned the hard way that you must invest the time into vetting the person initially, not after they've delivered the work. Number 4, market positioning. Market positioning is something that a lot of people underestimate, but can be a huge lever. And it is high stakes, because once you position yourself on the market, you're planting that flag, and it is a little bit hard to backtrack that and go back and say, no, we're actually for this other market, or we're actually this other solution. But if you find a blue ocean within your market positioning, you can plant a flag first before anyone else and position yourself as a market leader. And so studying your market really well, studying the pricing, studying the positioning, studying the benefits that they claim that they tackle, the pricing structures, you have to understand your market really well to know where are you going to position yourself there. So 2 things should influence your decision here: data and experience. Data is the one that's definitive when it comes down to business, but when it comes down to the market, experience will be your best friend. There is one thing to remember about experience though. Experience is nothing without reflection. Even if you have all the experience in the world, if you don't reflect on that experience, it literally makes it meaningless. Ray Dalio talks about this. He calls it pain plus reflection equals progress. You can have all of the experience in the world, but if you don't take time to sit back and dwell on it and understand what happened in that specific scenario and reflect on it, all of it means nothing. And if it comes down to it, your gut has that experience and it's subconscious, and it will drive you to the right outcome. So just trust it if it comes down to it. Number 5, ads. Ads are not fun. For me, it's just super important to have fun when you grow a business. And in this case, ads are so painful because ads are not only targeting and running the ads, but also the constant making of creative and creating landing pages and persona targeting. But worst of it all, it's like it's black smoking mirrors and black magic to make ads because the algorithms decide what changes today. It's totally up to the algorithm. Someday you might have crazy CAC, someday you have really good performance. And so you go up and down and your emotions go up and down with whatever Facebook decides that day or Google. And that's just not really a way I like to run a business. I like to have fun and I like to have a true input over whatever the outcome is gonna be. And ads are just really not a sustainable way of running the business because you can end up burning a lot of money plus burning yourself down emotionally and not growing the business in an organic and sustainable way. We optimize for the love of what we do. So even though you might not be always able to pick, I highly encourage you to select things to work on that you're actually passionate about and you have fun when you're doing them and they fit the DNA of you, your team, and your business. So through all of this, we still push through and developed Castmagic into over 70,000 users, a product that was just originally getting a transcript out and some AI outputs from an audio import. So we're super excited for what the future looks like with all the advancements in AI. We've already seen huge improvements in terms of how much media we can process. We could only process one file at a time. Now we can process more than 5 different inputs at a time. We can process files that are up to 15 gigabytes long. So AI is improving very, very fast and we have some very exciting developments in the roadmap. And so that is the story of how we built Castmagic, 5 people and 7 figures in revenue. If this story inspired you to get started with that project that you've just been waiting to get started and this gave you that push, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. So make sure to leave a like on the video and share it with someone who you think could get value out of this. So subscribe. That's it for today and I'll catch you on the next one.